Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. Oh, my camera is blank. What's wrong? Did I not turn it on? Oh, wait. I didn't. I turned it off. I didn't turn it on. Hold on. Hold on. There we go. How are you guys doing? Well, it's Thursday. Tomorrow, Powell speaks at Jackson Hole, so the markets are still kind of, they're doing all sorts of crazy things in anticipation of that. Let's go over to the markets, see what we got here. Do have some numbers coming up here in about 4 minutes, so I'll try and be quick here. ZN, another big down move. I was a little bit surprised by how far that one went, but the move was done for the most part by the time our session ended. Kind of was flat rest of the day, a little spike overnight, but I mean, they're selling it again, guys. I don't know. They gonna trend again? S&P 500, kind of on the upturn. It's much smaller. Oh wait, I'm not even showing you guys the freaking charts. I'm not even showing you guys the charts. Okay, S&P up a little bit. Let me go back here. Was the ZN? All right, oil on a little bit of a rally after hitting almost 86 this week, and now we're all the way back up to 94. Energy prices in Europe just skyrocketing. Gold and silver on a good 3-day recovery here. Well deserved. I really feel like some of the selling in the precious metals is a little silly at times, but you know, what's happening here is the dollar is a big factor, and here's copper doing okay today. Let's come over to the dollar. So the dollar was almost to 109 at one point, right? But they're quite a bit further down now today. And then Bitcoin here. Bitcoin, I'm surprised that Bitcoin did not get hammered more than it was. But I don't know, we got a weekend coming up, so the opportunity for Bitcoin to have a really negative day still there, right? Okay, so here in about 2 minutes, we are going to get U.S. initial jobless claims, and we are looking for a reading of 252,000 versus a previous reading of 250,000. And I'm not really expecting too much out of that news. I'm worried that what we're going to get today is that news will come out mostly in line, and then we're not really going to do a whole lot. Now, we do have U.S. core PCE prices. That's the one that is pretty important because the Federal Reserve looks at that one, right? And for that, the analyst estimate is 4.4%. So, I think I have 2 bites left on my breakfast sandwich. Think I can get it in there before the news? Okay, here's the numbers. They're mostly in line. Hold on a second. So initial jobless claims was 243 versus an expected 252. US GDP quarter over quarter second estimate was negative spot 6 versus expected negative spot 7. So just a small change there. And US core PCE prices preliminary was 4.4% versus an expected 4.4%. So those numbers are all mostly in line. 243,000 is a pretty decent beat on the US initial jobless claims. So that's probably why we are getting some selling in the treasuries. Although I feel that the amount of volume trading off of that may be a little excessive. But if they're selling, perhaps they're all just a little bit anxious to try and dump as much as they can before Jackson Hole. And I'm really starting to get the impression and some kind of signs that the market is coming around to the Federal Reserve isn't going to back off. Yeah. How did you do, D? I think your data was probably fine through that one, yeah. And good morning, Stephen. I forgot to say hi. Oh, which you know what reminds me, I need to do something here. I'm just gonna switch it over to my main screen here, just because I can't let you see this tool. Uh-huh. But there was a request somebody sent in, and I want to make sure that I remember to do that right now. Oh man, do I really? Okay, hold on. Guess I've since reset NinjaTrader. I have to go find the stuff again. Sat on your hands. Here we are. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. What's today? The 25th? Okay. That's out of the way. Sorry about that. Anthony Crudelli says, as an index trader, I always found it important to understand what's happening inside the index I'm trading. What stocks or sectors are driving it? Small caps reveal a shifting economy. I think he's pointing out something very, very instrumental for you guys there. Yeah. Knowing what the individual that the sectors within the index are doing really helps out if you're trading indexes. Well, well, I don't. I'd be really surprised that hey, I'm maybe I'm saying this. Listen, maybe if I say something, the market will come and try and prove me wrong. Let's see. We can do some reverse psychology on the market here. I'd be really surprised if we saw any kind of strong upside action today in the treasury. This looks really heavy. The news was down. They were already kind of heading down anyways. I think that something really bearish would have to come through here to push the market, the treasury market up. S&P 500 kind of looking a little sad, but I don't know. There was a pretty big move there in the overnight session. Oh, that's interesting. I don't remember reading anything in my morning run through that would explain why we moved like that overnight. I didn't really see it in my 30-minute charts either, did I? Macron warns of major tipping point and great upheaval as difficult winter approaches. Yeah. What's worse than inflation? Depression plus inflation. Yeah. Well, I reset. Stagflation kind of sucks. Stagflation kind of sucks. Futures jump as China adds fresh 1 trillion yuan stimulus in Jackson Hole Forum. That's probably what that was. Okay. Well, so the thing is, the big news from yesterday was the college debt forgiveness. Now, I think that there's a little bit more detailed analysis that I probably should have gotten into yesterday, but it just kind of slipped my mind because I was just so mad about what they're doing to the moral fabric of our society. But here's the thing. People weren't paying their student loans anyways for the last 2 years, right? So they've had student loan forgiveness. Only like 5% of borrowers were actually paying their loans during this time. And so, one of the questions is like how much stimulus is going to come into the economy? Well, I think that they've measured it at about 300 billion. But the thing is that stimulus has basically already been coming in because people haven't had to pay their student loans for 2 years. So really what that means is that stimulus will continue at least until the beginning of next year. And there will probably be a court case about whether the president can actually forgive all student debt. I don't think that they're on a very solid ground, legal ground on that one, but I digress. So there will continue to be that stimulus, right? So that's just kind of like another thing out there, kind of leading to more inflation, in my opinion. And when you go back and you look at the models and so forth that the central banks have been using, I've seen many charts here past few days where they show like here were all of the analyst estimates about what inflation would be, and they were all like horrendously behind the curve, and they kept having to revise it higher and higher and higher. So people have figured this out now, right? I think this scenario that some people were betting on, I really don't know where it was coming from, but there are people betting that the Federal Reserve was going to pivot. I you know, um I think it was Bostic this morning said that those expectations were wrong-headed was the terms that they used. Yeah, I think that's right. I think that people might be looking at the market itself and seeing short-term supply and demand factors and thinking that it meant something more fundamental. And so they started placing those bets. But I think the reality is more likely to be that inflation is likely to be higher for longer. So inflation might not be like, oh, super bad 10% year over year. But I highly doubt that we're going to go back to the world where it was, um, you know, below 2% and we had to stimulate everything to try and get inflation up and all that sort of thing. I think that world is gone for a while. We still got the war on Russia going on, and that I don't know if that's ever going to end. We have a huge energy crisis in Europe coming, and then we have all of these inflationary pressures that from the fiscal side that are just gonna still be there, So yeah, that probably means that interest rates are gonna have to stay higher for longer. And I think that what we've been seeing past few days is the market coming to term with that reality. Now that said, I think we could have a further move lower. Doesn't look like the timing is quite right. Although the order flow does look pretty well correlated to the downside. Jim Iurio, there's no similarity between PPP loans and student loans. Feel free to take the other side of that debate, but you will lose so badly that many will actually feel sorry. It's no. Okay, so on the student loans thing, when they asked Joe Biden about this, he said, well, we gave people these PPP loans. Talk about a whataboutism, right? I think that the PPP loan program was a massive bungle. It was a huge waste of taxpayer funds. Almost all of the funds got wasted. We spent like $100,000 per job saved. It's ridiculous. It ended up being a handout and fraud. It was a terrible program in my opinion. So I don't think that you want to make that as your basis for like a good program for starters, but then has no bearing on this particular policy. So what about it? It's a distraction. The thing that irks me. So like I was looking at this. I was like, okay, so but what is the public opinion on this? Because Democrats seem to think that this is going to be a huge winner for them in the fall. Yeah. And I'm sitting here like, do people really think that they just vote themselves benefits and that pay their voters off and that's going to work? Well, what does the polling say? Polling says that 55 to 60% of Americans support student loan forgiveness. Really? That's what the polling says. I'm really surprised. But I'm sitting here and I'm like, is society really that dumb? I guess it is. Doesn't mean that it will turn out that way, that it won't change that. Less politics, ELT. If you don't like politics, you shouldn't trade. Straight up serious. I'm not trying to be mean to you. I'm trying to give you solid advice here. Trading is politics. The government are these policies. What happens with student loans has a significant impact on markets, and it is one of the strongest forces in the market. Orders come in based on what these politicians do and what policies are enacted. And yes, the trajectory of inflation is going to be influenced by what happens with these student loan stuff. So you have to understand it. You do. And you should have an opinion and you should be able to discuss it. Really wish they still had free college when I went, like all those who have failed themselves when it was available. Not sure what you're referring to there, Mark Eisner, but I mean, if we're honest, though, I Obama's move to get the government more involved in student loans was really a long-term play to try and nationalize higher education learning like it is in Europe, right? What? And that's why you're seeing the moves that you are. See, um, well, okay, so let me tell you what though. Here's something that I learned yesterday. Because one of the arguments that I heard, so there was somebody on my TikTok that said, well, um, don't cure cancer because what about all of the people that had cancer before? Okay, it's not like having cancer. Okay, having a student loan is not comparable in any way to having cancer. And the reality is, they did a study, the Philadelphia Fed did a study earlier and asked people with student loans, are you okay with being able to pay your student loans? And 75% of them said yes. 75% of them said yes. The reality is that this is a handout to the people in the country that are the best off economically speaking. It's people that don't need it, right? But I digress. Um the what happens is if you give loan forgiveness, it kind of alleviates the issue so that you don't have to make a larger change, right? Because the larger change would be that you have to hold universities responsible. You have to have more market influences in this market, and that you can't just prop it up with government anymore. And that, yeah, the price of higher education needs to come down. But that's like the Democrat base, there's a lot of money and power in that for them, so they don't want to do that. If you come in and you pay everybody's loans off and give them a freebie, that kind of alleviates the issue, so that hopefully you can try and tackle it at some point in the future where maybe your political power is stronger, right? We paid off my wife's student loans about 10 years ago. She doesn't have much of an issue saying that she used her student loans to pay for rent, buy food, weed, cigarettes, and beer for parties. Listen, if I was okay, if I had $10,000 worth of student loans and the government was going to pay them off, and everybody was saying, "Hey, there's nothing wrong with taking it," I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't take it. I think it's to me. I'm not saying that you're being dishonest, but if I did it, I feel like I'd be dishonest doing it. You know what I mean? Because to me, I signed a loan saying I'm going to pay the money back on the loan, and for the government to come in and take that out like that, that's not integrity to me. Nothing like sweeping inflationary policies to finance partying for a bunch of privileged dipshits in their social studies degrees. Well, I digress. But on the other hand, if I knew that the government was going to pay for it, could I take 4 years off and go to graduate school and become a quant? Hell yes. Let's do it. I love that opportunity. Probably not a good idea. But yeah, it does kind of piss me off that there were things that I could have done that I didn't do, and I could have gotten the loans. But here's what makes me mad. Here's why I'm so mad about this issue, actually, because it's not about me. Listen, I'm doing really well. Okay, I own a house. I've owned this house for about over 5 years now. I have a large amount of equity in it, and I'm saving money away. I'm putting money in my IRA and all of this sort of stuff, right? Okay. But it's the kids. It's the kids that's a problem. I think that what happened here was that the millennials learned from the baby boomers. They're like, oh yeah, the baby boomers, they screwed us over, so why don't we screw over Gen Z? That's what's really going on. That's how I see it. How are my children supposed to pay for college now? Are they going to get a bailout too in the future? Because I tell you what, the result of this policy isn't going to be that college becomes more affordable, right? I'm very concerned that it will not be realistic for them to go to a school, or that they could have the opportunity to go to a top tier school, but they won't because they won't be able to pay for it, right? That's who should really be mad. It's kind of weird because it seems like the younger people are really the ones that should be the maddest about this, and they tend to be the ones that support it. College became unaffordable because someone else pays for it in the first place. Yeah. I mean, it really is the case, especially with some of these degrees, that you really are not getting your money's worth. What's this about Jackson Hole? Oh, geez. OPEC president says he's open to oil production cut. People really struggle with that reality. If you had to pay for it yourself, it'd be cheaper. Well, the thing that I see over and over again, I, I just see a lot of comments where people think that this money is truly free. They think, oh yeah, the government can say that it's all forgiven, and that's it. That's free money now, and that's the end of it. No, the money doesn't come from nowhere, guys. They're printing it. They're printing it. It will add to inflation. Is really what it happens. They say like that the taxpayers are going to have to pay for it. I mean, is Congress ever going to raise taxes? I don't know. You're going to pay for it in inflation, probably. That's why, again, just coming back for you guys, because I know that some of you don't want to talk about politics. You don't want to talk about it. Listen, if you don't like talking about politics, trading is not the career for you. That I shouldn't call it the career, the hobby. Trading is not the hobby for you, because trading and politics are intrinsically interlinked. It's like we have one of two options. Either we pay for it ourselves, which would drive prices down, or it's free like Europe, which ultimately devalues it. Instead, we take the middle ground and have third parties pay for it, which it both increases its price and decreases its value. Oh man. Well, I am seeing a move to what do you say, a move amongst companies to hire more people that aren't college graduates. I mean, I'm coming from I'm a college graduate, right? I went for computer science, and almost everybody that I know went to university. It's actually a really startling stat to me that the majority of Americans did not go to university, because I don't know anybody that, you know, but that's just the world that we're in. Like, think about it. When the recession comes, and it will come, it's going to crush all those new DEI HR positions, paying white women obscene amounts of money to lecture employees on race and gender. Well, I don't know. It's good. It's not going to. I think that if we have a more normal recession, let's say, I think that it's not going to be even across the economy. And I'm not 100% sure which sides of the economy are going to get hurt the worst. But there is surely is a lot of jobs out there that probably aren't producing much value. I don't know if it's a guarantee that we're going to have a recession though. What I continue to see is that the circumstances are as such that you probably should be having a recession, but you're not, because there actually is still too much stimulus out there. I can't. I yeah. I It's hard for me to see this stuff like Bed Bath and Beyond blunder, right? And then be like, oh yeah, financial conditions are super super tight, and you know what I mean? Like we haven't yet seen a serious. I mean, look at the jobless claims, less than last week, right? Like we're not seeing this huge uptick in joblessness. It's not happening yet. I don't think that that we're in an unusual economy, and some of our economic indicators are probably going to give us mixed signals. Mark, so the 8:30 economic news didn't really move markets. Well, you know what though? I actually felt, Mark, that well, so first of all, jobless claims 243 versus 252 expected. So a good 10K less than anticipated. That is a good beat. I wouldn't expect it to be like a huge move though. But we did move down a good 8 to 10 ticks. So I actually felt that the treasury market reacted to that 8:30 news a little bit more than it normally would. I think that these markets are probably still very illiquid. But what we saw instead, well, here's what happened: is I said that it's probably going to be a sell day. Trying to do some market reverse psychology here to try and get the market to go up. And so far, it seems like it's working, and we're almost to 117.10 again, just about where we left off yesterday, isn't it? Not much in the way of large execute. Yeah, you're right. There wasn't very many big orders in it at all, was there? But it has been there is a really decent amount of auto correlated selling in this flow, and even as we moved up, there wasn't the cumulative delta in ZN has been flat. So it appears to me that this pullback is based probably more off of currency correlations. Oh man, my I worked out a little bit harder yesterday because I had a week off, and my traps are feeling it today. And I'm worried that one of the muscles is going to spaz out here, but I think I'm okay for now. It's based off of boredom is just doing whatever. It could be like I do suspect that what we're seeing here is noise. That there are orders going on out there. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It is the reason normally those orders wouldn't move the markets very much, but the market is very illiquid at the moment. So you're getting a little bit of noise. But if that's the situation, I definitely don't want to trade it. I'd rather come here and undermine the stream and chase off everybody that doesn't like politics or doesn't like values. Guys, listen, we're going to talk about values a lot more, because you know what? That's me. I've realized you talk about like what is in the personality that would attract people? What is it about, like, because those of you that are here, I mean, we got 16 right now. We we hit that almost every day, and it's like the same group of people. Like, I've seen you guys. Uzi is here every day. He's always listening, even if he's not talking. Mark Eisner, you're a little bit new, but I've seen you here almost every day this week. I think you first started coming by last week, right? Like, I know the guys. Brad. Who else do we have? Cyrilex. Yeah, I don't know how long has Cyrilex been around for. I think you've kind of been on and off, but I think that you go a little bit further back. As does Brad. Brad goes way, way, way back. He took a few hits on the ES trades. But you guys, you come back every you hear every day. Why is that? And I've asked myself that a lot, and I think a big part of it is just that you guys want to trade, and you find the stream useful, and it's part of your morning routine, and you're here. Well, that's true. There's other people, right? There are other people. Do they trade bonds? Maybe it's because you trade bonds. Maybe. But here's what I think is the thing that's really, oh, I'm hereby, I don't like you. Octavius, you've been really great. Octavius, I have to say, you have contributed a lot to the stream. You have pointed out a lot of really insightful, and interesting moves in the market at times, and you continue to do it. I really appreciate you being here, and especially when you post on Discord. Not so much for the politics. When I was on the floor, that was the rule they said never to violate. It was to talk about politics. But like it was a different world back then, right, Mark? I mean, here's the thing. Finance and politics have always been linked, right? Like if you are on CNBC, they talk about politics on CN. They have segments on CNBC about politics, right? But I think that things really changed in 2008, and then they really, really changed in 2016, because at that point, the government has become so involved in the markets, and especially with the monetary policy and the fiscal policy, that it became too big of an issue to ignore. And that wasn't the environment back when there was the floor. So, like, it's just the thing is that if you don't like my politics, then fine. I totally understand. Most people don't like my politics. Because like the issue that you're gonna see is I'm a conservative person, so if you're liberal, you're not gonna like what I say. But I'm also very knowledgeable and informed about the markets, and so if you're a conservative, you're probably not gonna like what I say either, because conservative beliefs about the economy are not based on data and research; they're based on their values. Yeah, my preference is more about the edge you have with bond contracts over current events. But then again, well, no, you're right. It is, but that's why you talk about it. Is in my opinion, like having a back and forth debate about something like the college debt forgiveness, and really that debate has to morph into what is the effect going to be on the economy, right? But that's how we learn what's going on, and that kind of gives you a base to work from, so that when that opportunity comes where there's a trade based off of it, you have the context to know what it means and to be able to trade it confidently, right? I can't stress, part of being an informed trader is just knowing how the world works, and so understanding the American and European political systems and everything is a major factor there, right? That's why it's useful to talk about the drama and the politics, even if it's not directly impacting the market at that time, right? I've been pretty good with being able to trade the politics, haven't I? But that was only because I lived and breathed politics after 2008, I'm here for your insights and you keep up with current fundamentals. I appreciate it, Sir Lex. But I think that it's more than just the what we talk about. Because why do we talk about those things? And why would you trust me to share with you those things? And that's kind of when I realized, like, because people will say, well, what people really watch is for the person, usually. Well, what you're going to get on this stream that I think is even more important than these other things are the values: excellence, teamwork, integrity. That's what makes this stream different. You guys, you come here because we have teamwork. We work together and we share information about the market, and that's beneficial to you. That's probably the biggest factor behind the success of this channel. You trust what I have to say because you know that I value integrity, and I'm always going to go the extra mile to ensure that what I'm saying is accurate and fair, right? You come here because we practice excellence. We're trading. It's what we do is the most difficult way of trading. Being informed is hard. Understanding and learning order flow is hard, but we do it because it's the most excellent way to trade. And that's what makes us different. That's what makes us different. And we're going to be talking about that a lot because I don't feel like that the new people that come in always understand that that's that draw to the channel. Whatever happened to the agreement to invest in the country and their companies, but in exchange for repatriating offshore billions, they did share buybacks and left the taxpayer looking stupid? Hmm. Share buybacks is a really interesting subject, right? Because I'm not sure that I feel like that stock buybacks should just be banned, but I don't see how you can have stock buybacks and it not get abused like that, right? Because companies can take out debt and money is fungible, right? So you could say, well, you can't use debt to pay out to do stock buybacks. Well, okay, we use our profits to do the share buybacks, and then we use our debt to fund everything else. That wouldn't work, right? Unless you could say you can't do stock buybacks unless you have no debt, but no company is going to do that. Every company is going to have a little bit of debt, and they're going to manage that because it's a powerful tool, right? So does that mean that we just have to ban stock buybacks? Well, it's an option. I'm not 100% sure that the net effect of that would be good or bad. But like, here's the thing: is that the economy really is changing. Mark. Like, it's not 1999 anymore. 1999, the amount of innovation that was there to be had from the internet becoming a thing was just tremendous, right? The internet has really changed. It's really consolidated around the largest players. It's really hard these days to do something on your own. You know, becoming a an influencer, and being successful as an influencer is really hard. You'd never know it because you see these influencers every day and you think, oh yeah, like everybody's an influencer, and there's all these people that have no effing clue what they're talking about becoming experts and stuff. But the reality is that it's only like 1% of the people that are trying to do that actually make it, you know? Yeah, well, buybacks were illegal before 1982, so it's not like it's a new idea. That's true, actually. But allowing buybacks after 1982 did have benefits, did it not? Like, there are some things that you can do with the buybacks. So that's where the thing is I think I would need more data to be able to quantify what the positive and negative impacts of making it illegal are, right? you know, but certainly it is certainly the case that stock buybacks can be used to prop stocks up, right? Like I'm seeing a lot of this going on in the market where an asset, because orders are what really moves markets, you have an asset that is way overvalued and it doesn't actually come back to what the true value of the asset is until everything's falling apart and that company goes kaput, right? So are stock buybacks being used to distort stock prices? I think so. No idea about any research on that though, besides the buybacks prop stocks up. Yeah, exactly. So like here's the other argument that one could make. Okay. So I want to be very clear. I'm not promoting this idea. Okay. But is it the case that it's good that everything in the stock market is overvalued because in the end it's beneficial to our 401ks, and as long as that just continues to be the thing, you know, it's fine, right? It's fine unless like everything collapses. I'm not promoting that idea, but that it just kind of shows like where incentives are tend to be more predictive about how things are going to go, right? And yeah, there's not much incentive to get rid of stock buybacks, are there? Everybody seems to be benefiting from it, even though it does distort asset prices. But do we really actually the thing that you have to ask yourself is, do I actually want asset prices to be reflective of the true value of something? I don't think that people actually do. Yeah, we saw buybacks at very high prices. Yes, in some cases. I would like to believe at least that most cases that companies are very good at buying back shares when they're undervalued. But whatever. Same thing with selling shares when you're overvalued. Man, all of these I can't like with Bed Bath and Beyond and some of these other ones. I don't understand what all of these retail traders think is going to happen. That you come in and you pump the price of the stock up 100 times what it should be, and not expect the company to take advantage of that by selling shares. Like, come on. Hilariously, it was Modigliani Miller theory that was used to advocate allowing buybacks, and the only serious research in this area ended up disproving MM's theory. Really? I'll have to look that up. What that was. We have time. Can we get into that? You know that when you mention something like in like a study or something, that I'm going to be interested in what it is. The Modigliani Miller theorem states that the market value of a company is correctly calculated as the present value of its future earnings and its underlying assets, and is independent of its capital structure. Oh, so what you're saying, Akshay, is that if a company is trading below its present value and future earnings, then that should justify the company buying its own shares. Well, but the problem is that such a theory is unprovable, right? It could be falsified, but I don't think that you can prove it because you can't actually prove what the true value of a company is. We can only show that probably stocks tend not to adhere to that value very well. Of course, because what moves markets? Orders moves markets. That pullback and now push back up was really deep. This is a very liquid market. I am not saying that. It's what the theory says. Yeah. But it's interesting that that was the justification. Uh, Here's the way that I would kind of approach it. Um, it's good to be able to moderate supply and demand. Okay. Like you don't want to, you don't want a centrally planned economy where supply and demand are set by the government. No, 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 no. But in a situation where demand is too high or supply is too low or too high, having the ability to come in and moderate those somewhat is a useful and positive thing for the markets, generally speaking. So when the Federal Reserve comes in and lowers interest rates so that there's more money available, in other words, increasing the supply of money, that's beneficial to the economy in order to reduce volatility. If we lived in an economy that was based on something where the supply and demand was not very flexible, like say it was an economy based on gold, then you would see a lot more volatility in the value of the economy, right? Because the more the less flexible the supply and demand are, the more volatility you see in that asset. Well, especially supply. The less flexible supply is, the more volatility you'll see in that asset. You see what's going on here is I wanted to talk about values, and we started talking about something that I find way more interesting. But what is that? That's teamwork, folks. I appreciate it, Akshay. You've done such a good job. I have to say, there's been some other people that have come and gone on the channel that, at times were useful. And then ultimately they would like jump the shark on, like really crazy stuff. But you really know your stuff. You really know your stuff. I'm really impressed. It always makes me go, oh yeah, I might have learned a lot, but I'm still light years behind the institutional traders on this stuff, right? But that's the way it goes. Maybe by the time I'm 70 years old, I'll know enough to be, you know what I mean? Hmm. Every time I come over and I look at my charts, I'm seeing corn doing something weird. Corn has been really volatile this week. But what's going on right now? It looks like Kappa is the asset moving the most, up 1.6%. Everything else is kind of like 0.5%, with the treasuries mostly unchanged from yesterday's close. No. How did we end up talking about stock buybacks anyways? Oh, Mark Eisner brought it up, of course. Sure. Well, I appreciate you guys find the stream useful. But you notice that none of you guys say, "Ah, Seth, you're so chill and I just love being around you." I know. That's not me. There are some people that are just super entertaining, chill. You love being around them. Maybe I can become that person. I have work to do on that front, but that's not me right now, is it? What's unique about Seth? Seth understands excellence, teamwork, and integrity. That's what I think. Because the reason I got on this this thing dominating my mind, I think I'm hyper focused on it, to be honest with you. The reason I became hyper focused on it was because I've been looking at my kids. So I have 3 stepkids, and now I have two babies of my own, right? Are you allowed to have a background? I wish that I could just play Financial Juice in the back. Oh, you know what? We never turned Spotify on, by the way. Let's do that. Turn on the stream beats. There we go. But no, if you want Financial Juice, you're gonna have to pay the $100 a month for it. But there is an affiliate link in the video description below, so take advantage of that. Anyways, so I got these kids, and one of the kids is in junior high, and so I'm constantly finding myself going, what is this kid doing? Why is he doing what he's doing? I has done a thing or two. I don't want to get like too specific, but he has done a thing or two that I was very upset about. And I'm like, why would they do that? I never did anything like that. Why didn't I do anything like that? It seems to me like that there are values that when I was a kid, because I would never do that, because it was like, no, that's not me. I wouldn't, I would never do anything to make the people around me like ever question or not trust me, And but why was I like that? Because not everybody's like that. And I've kind of realized that, I had these values of excellence, integrity, and teamwork very, very early on as a child. And how did I get that? And I was asking my parents about it, and my dad's theory was, well, you especially excellence. I want to integrally destroy the team to get the excellence. My dad's theory was that it was because my mom was so anal about cleaning the house. I was like, It actually kind of did make me think. I was like, well, because anytime that I was asked to clean something, my mom tell you to clean the bathroom, then she would come in and spot check it and be like, you missed this, you missed this. It was like, it was never good enough. It was never good enough for her. She was like a perfectionist when it came to cleaning the house. And he said, well, what that showed was that the house being clean and doing the best that we could on those things were important. I think the reason he feels that way is because as we got older, for the two younger kids, they weren't around as much and weren't on that sort of stuff as strongly because they were working at the theater a lot. And my two younger children have behaved very different from me and my older sister. And they think it's because they weren't around as much, and so they didn't imprint on their kids as much, right? And I'm like, yeah, but what are the things that you're doing that would actually teach those things? Because it seems to me that imprinting, quote unquote, happens before they're 8. And I felt like, well, how do you talk about these things to people? Like, I can talk about it on an intellectual level, but how do you do it for the kids, right? But then he talked about the things that you're doing that you don't even realize that really show what your values are, right? And it was really interesting to me. The value that I'm most concerned about in our society right now is excellence. It's like I kind of did a little experiment. I got on TikTok, right? And I made a post about excellence, specifically as it relates to the quiet quitting movement. Have you heard about this quiet quitting thing? So a lot of people are saying, quiet quit. So only do the bare minimum of work to avoid getting fired, but then don't do anything else to help your company out, right? Put in the bare minimum. Well, I have a really big problem with that. Why do I have a really big problem with that? Because one of my core values is excellence, and basically what quiet quitting is saying is don't do your best, don't be excellent. Don't do excellent work. Well, what's the problem with that? You know, well, I think the problem with that is that excellence is not something that you just turn on and off. The way that you do excellent work is by doing excellent work every day and practicing and getting good at it, at doing excellent work, right? You have to go to Japan. They perform every little job with excellence. This is such a good, that is such a good example, Octavius, because especially in traditional Japan, it was like you had a job and your whole life was dedicated towards becoming as excellent at that one job as you possibly could. And people would become insanely skilled at the most things that you would think are like so trivial. And that include the samurai, that they really believed in excellence in their art too. Yeah. Oh man, what is it? The Last Samurai? It was a good movie, and that was my favorite part about that movie is they showed excellence. Yeah, those people, they cared about excellence. Totally. So, anyways, I made this video about that, right? Trying to make the case for why you should always be excellent, even when you don't need to be, even when it doesn't benefit you, right? And I was really surprised at the amount of pushback that I got from it. I mean, it was what I predicted, but it still really took me by surprise, you know? I'm a sumo fan, and it's crazy how serious everyone around the dojo does every mundane thing like perfectly and with total seriousness. That's kind of the struggle that I have, though, is how do you be excellent and affable, right? I find that difficult. Maybe it's just me, but every time I've used a Japanese product, it's been worse. Guy with the towel basically feels like he's governing the free world. No, but still, it's a way. I think that we practice excellence here. Like I said, okay, trading off of the DOM. You don't have to trade off of the DOM. It's very difficult to do it. It requires a lot of screen time and work. But why do we do it? Because it's the most excellent way of trading. And if you're trying to develop a edge in a competitive market, that's one of the best ways to do it. One of the most guaranteed ways of doing it is finding something that's really hard and that most people can't do and just getting really good at that one thing. I think that I've gotten pretty good at order flow at this point. Understanding the empirical research behind it really made a big difference. And over the last year, I've been trading way better than what I did before. And I feel like our trading is getting more excellent every day. But when I get on TikTok, everything that I see is don't be excellent. Get rich quick. Right? So excellence, teamwork, integrity. That's not what they teach. You got freaking, what's his name? I don't even know if we can say his name. No, not Matt. I don't care about Matt right now. What was it? They just banned the boy. Tate does not teach excellence and integrity. No. Tate teaches, it's Hustlers University. That's not integrity. That's not excellence. Right? A lot of the woke politics, they're anti-excellence. There are literally people out there that are anti-excellence. They think that excellence promotes white supremacy is what they think. That's just the most ridiculous thing. You don't like Tate? Yeah, that's interesting. I wouldn't have expected you to know who he is, but I guess he was like really all over the place everywhere. He's stealing our views. You know what? You know who's stealing our views, Nasdaq Killer, if I'm honest? If I'm honest, the one that's stealing our views is Ninja Trader. Isn't that funny? It's okay, Ninja Trader. I understand. No hard feelings, but you probably are stealing a lot of my views. Some of these other ones, like to be honest, like with Matt, okay. Here's the thing with Matt. Everything about Matt as a person, he seems like a cool guy. He seems like a more fun person to hang out with than me, to be honest with you. Although I haven't really watched his show too much, so I don't really know a whole lot about him. That's why I don't really like to talk about other people like that. Like, I don't know. I'm as prone to anybody else as to talk about gossip. I think that NASDAQ Killer, he kind of knows that if he starts talking about somebody else, that eventually he can get me to go off the rails a little bit, right? But if I don't really even know them, so I don't really know Matt very well. But the one thing that I do know is that he trades price action, and I hate price action. I really truly, I mean, I know it kind of sounds stupid to say that you hate something like that, right? It's like, well, you have control over your emotions, you can choose how you feel about, but no, I really truly I hate it, okay? Because there is nothing else in the markets today that I believe leads people astray and leads people down dead ends more than price action right now in the markets, and I just despise it in every respect. And you know, I don't want to have to spend most of my stream explaining to people why price action doesn't work. And so in that respect, I'm kind of glad that there are other YouTube streams that are all about those sorts of things. And, you know, so that the people that are interested in price action, they get attracted to those channels and I don't have to deal with them, you know, so that we get the people that are interested in, you know, the things that we're doing here, being informed, order flow, being informed, integrity, excellence, teamwork, right? I have a progressive buddy that was talking to me about Tate defending him to the hilt. Or a progressive friend, really? At the time, I didn't know who Tate was. Now that I do, I'm baffled why this guy was defending him. That's a really bizarre Uzi. It is really, that is really weird. Well, why should we care what choices people make, how they trade? I'm curious. Well, here's why I care. Well, there's two reasons, really. Well, no, it's all one reason. It's all one reason, D. Teamwork. Teamwork. Guys, this is hard, what we do. And the reality is that all of us together are kind of a small fry compared to the big funds that really dominate these markets. And so to some extent, the better that we can work together, the better chance we have of, you know, being able to pull a profit out when we're going up against these institutions. I feel that the market is a little bit too skewed. I think that these large institutions have too much power. Hold on a second, wife just came in. Oh, we get the baby. These large institutions, they sometimes you get price movement that you know, somebody makes a call on the news that's dead wrong, or they're not making a call, but you know, they have to do something and move some markets, and so the market does frankly the wrong thing, and there aren't enough retail traders that know what's going on to push back against it, right? So it's teamwork. And the more people that we have here with us that really understand what's going on in the market, understand how orders move markets, and they understand the things, drivers of order flow, including the fundamentals, the better off we all are. And those are people that can come into the stream, you know, like all of you, really all of you. I always like to go through and look at, like, who do we got here right now? Oh, by the way, Kevin asks, is there a schedule? Or there is a schedule. I hadn't seen it posted. I was looking for it the other day, but Powell speaks tomorrow. That's correct. Anyways, you know, those are all people. Every one of you has contributed to this stream in one way or another, and that's benefited everybody else on the stream. So every time that somebody comes into trading and they say, oh, I'm interested in technical analysis, price action seems like the way to go, I think it's a sad thing. Yeah. It's a sad thing because we're about teamwork here, and that's somebody that might have been able to actually contribute to things and can't. God bless you, baby. Thank you. Let me turn. Let's see. I don't know if I can turn him around here so you can see him. There we go. Say hello. Say hi. Over there. Right there. He's not even looking. I can't tell what he's looking at. The market requires different techniques to function, or else we just have one straight line up or down. Well, yeah, it's a good point, D. Like, there has to be a certain amount of noise. So anytime that somebody decides to just trade the noise, I guess we should be grateful that there are people out there that are willing to do that, so that we can get an edge over them. But I want people to be successful. I want this stream to be successful, and I want everybody that's participating here on this stream to be successful, you know? And I feel like that it makes my job a lot harder to get through the noise, and the biggest noise generator out there right now is price action. So I really just don't like it. But you're right. I am grateful. I am truly grateful that there are people out there that truly believe in price action full heart, and that we're able to make money off of that. Yeah. Is he bullish or bearish today, or who are we talking about? I don't have a perspective on the markets. It looks to me like the treasury market is a little illiquid right now. He's an angel. He is pretty darn cute. So how old is he now? He was born like the first week of June. So that means he's 3 months old now. And he's just only now getting to the point. Hold on up here. Wait, let's do this. Hold on. He's getting to the point now where he's reacting to things, especially people, of course. He will smile at us now. He will talk to us now. He's watching his brother. Oh man, his brother. So first of all, his brother is a pain in the butt most of the time. Oh my gosh, did you get the extended warranty? Guys. But you know, they're only like 2 years apart. Oh, here's they're gonna take him back. Okay. And by the way, why did my lamp never turn on? I'm only just now noting that one of my lights is off. There we go. Wow, that looks way better. I want to have one too. Good. We need more babies. We need more people in the world. That's what got us started all on this, right? Was as I asked, okay, what is it that I need to start doing now so that I can teach my children those values? Because I believe that those are the things that are going to help you the most in life. There's lots of values and there's lots of important ones. If I can pick four, that I think are going to help you the most in life. There's these four: integrity, excellence, teamwork, health. Those are the four. You're going to pick those four. And so I was just thinking, what do I got to do to get the four? And so that's what I've been doing. And I think excellence is one of them. Now, it's hard. I got to tell you what, I've been pretty hardcore this week. Like, I wake up, do the stream. It's been an okay week. I haven't really made any big successful trades this week. We've been, no, excuse me, I'm getting the burps. I've been mostly hands off this week, but I've, it's still been involved trading. So, the 2-hour stream that we do here, it takes a little bit out of you, right? Is all that's about. But then after I do that, I do my morning stand up. I give myself at least 30 minutes of study time on industry topics. I've had these projects that I've really been wanting to get done because teams are starting to use them and stuff, and there's a few things that they kind of need. But then I'm getting like lots of messages and having to do calls and stuff with people, so I do that all day. And then after that, I work out. I clean. So then after I work out, then there's that time where it's like, okay, here's the time to do all the things to show my babies what excellence, integrity, and teamwork are, right? And the part for excellence is, okay, we got to make sure that the house is functioning as efficiently as possible, that it's as clean as possible. So we do that, I eat, and then I can relax for a little bit before I do some reading in the evening and go to sleep. So there's the book I'm reading, which I'm reading for a friend, but because he wrote it, but it's been a good book. It's a lot of things that I kind of knew, but he just kind of put it all in one place. It's really great. Do you play golf? I'm terrible. I'm terrible playing golf. So the other day I saw this TikTok. They're like, here are the, there are these places where you can become an influencer or whatever and do stuff that pay really well, and like nobody's really taking advantage of them. And so I'm like, ooh, okay, is there something that I can add to my repertoire or something like that? And one of them was golf. And I was like, crap, I suck at golf. No, I could get good. I could get good at golf. I probably should get good at golf. What would be holding me back from getting good at golf right now? I'm not going to be golfing during the week. So should I be going golfing every weekend? I could probably do that, I guess. And I do have people that would go into, I guess there's nothing holding me back from trying to get good at golf other than, like having lessons or something. In my country, we teach by screaming at them and beating them. Think of, jeez, guys. Oh man, NASDAQ killer. There was another guy from Morocco that came into the stream, and I was really sad that you weren't around when they came. Apart from well, I'm not good at weightlifting. That's the thing. You know what? Like, it's so frustrating because I've been able to hone in my weightlifting technique. I haven't been able to lift really hard lately to really see how much I think that if I was able to get through a whole cycle without anything happening to make me miss weeks and stuff, that I could probably break new PRs. But the reality is that my best, me getting really good at the lifts and going through a good cycle and all of that, my best in weightlifting is still pretty pathetic. If I can get myself to 75 kilo snatch and 100 kilo clean and jerk, that would be awesome. But the reality is that most men, if they train weightlifting for a year, they'll do more than that. That sucks. I'm not actually good at weightlifting. I mean, I'm good at it, but like I'm not good at it because I just don't have the genetics for it, right? And I've never really done any other sports where I did wrestling, but I wasn't good at wrestling either. I think the reality is that I've always kind of done sports, but I've never really been good at them. Could I get good at golf though? It's possible. It's possible. But the reality is that what I'd be doing, I'd be going in and getting good at golf so that we can talk about golf here on the stream, and I could, you know, make TikToks about golf and stuff. That kind of all sounds like blech to me. Are you a profitable trader? Sometimes. Here's the thing you got to remember first, last. Past performance is not indicative of future results. That's why I don't really talk about how I've been trading all too much. I mean, I like, the funny thing is about it, I've been doing well this month in particular, and the stream has actually been like the quietest that it's ever been. It's like doing well does not actually help the channel. Doing well at the trading doesn't actually help the channel. I think it's because effective trading actually ends up being really boring, right? Try test plus trend. What does that mean? Oh, I only trade one lot most of the time. So part of the thing that I'm trying to show people is that you can trade as just a hobby, and you don't have to trade big. So when I'm making trades, you know, if I make $100 on a trade, that's like an oh my gosh trade. Okay. 2 weeks ago, I made $200 trades. That was insane. Those were like some of the biggest moves in the treasuries you ever see, right? Usually I come in, I make a trade. Yesterday I lost 15. Yesterday I lost 15 bucks. But you know, if I come in and I make 10 to 20 bucks, that's usually a decent trade and I can be okay with that. So I'm not trading big in here. And the second thing is that because past performance is not indicative of future results, what I would really think will help you out more than, because everybody, you know, I get it, people are social learners, right? So we want to find somebody else that has had success at the thing and then go and follow them. That doesn't work in trading, believe it or not. That doesn't work in trading, because first of all, if you go and you find that person that's like they've done the best at trading, it's more likely that their success came from luck, because you're talking about somebody whose results were unusually good, right? And they made like millions of dollars from it or whatever. Probably means that they took really big risky bets and luck was on their side, you know. What I would rather you do instead, and what I think is more likely to lead you to success, is to look for empirical evidence about the markets. Okay. What is something about the market that I can prove empirically is true? And I really mean like truly empirically. It's not like over the last 2 months it's done X thing. That's dumb. Okay. That changes all the time. Okay. But if I go over a really large data set, is X consistently true about the markets? So if you go and you look at the videos that I make on this channel, the VODs that I've made, that's the kind of stuff that I teach you. Things about the market that I can prove to you are a thing. Like square root law of meta order impact. If you have a large meta order and you execute it in the market, by, you know, and you want to split your order up, of course, the impact of your orders follows a square root law, and that will happen pretty much every time. If any data set you take that has more than a day's worth of data in it, and you go and you analyze the meta orders in it, you're going to find that square root law, and it always holds. And there's some really useful things about the market that you can pull from that. I can tell me when to trade and when not to trade. It can kind of tell me when a move is finished. It doesn't exactly give me like entry and exits per se, but is it valuable edge? Yes, it's a very valuable edge. I think it's something that every retail trader could probably benefit from, but nobody ever pays attention to it because they don't look at the empirical evidence. Testosterone and trenbolone actate. Oh, you're telling me to take steroids. Yeah, that's what I got to do. So anyways, that's the answer to that, first and last. So as another way of saying it is this: just pretend that it don't make money, right? Don't listen to me because I have or haven't made money. Go and look at the empirical evidence. Looking for empirical evidence is going to get you further in trading than anything else. Oh, you're getting some calls selling off in CN? The market action that we're getting here is kind of interesting, but it's kind of been more of a ping pong, right? It's like they ping it up to this 10-11 area, and then they've been shooting it back to 06. I'm sure that the TA traders are like, okay, I'm going to try and take this thing. By the way, something I didn't tell you. Remember yesterday before we left, we had that big move down, and then there was a big liquidity hole, and then it really moved after that. And I tried taking the reversal after, from the liquidity hole, and that didn't work out for me. But then after that, I said, well, let's try a sim trade, because I think that this is like the final push outside of the liquidity hole where it will really come back into that liquidity hole. So I took that trade, and oh man, did it work. After the stream, it went right back to the spot. Not a tick of adverse excursion. I was like, oh, that was the trade that I should have taken live, man. What would be handy in futures is when they don't aggregate our lots. Market by order data solves most of those problems, right? But it's get more complicated, actually. We'll talk more about that next week, though. I don't want to raise expectations too high, but next week's going to be pretty big for us, I think. Next week's going to be pretty big for us. I've got some stuff to show you. I think it's going to be next week. I'm not 100% sure it's going to be next week. But I've got something coming that's a pretty big game changer. Preview. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to be as tight-lipped about it as I possibly can be. But it's a pretty significant thing coming. You ever checked Denali's? Well, you guys have talked to me about it a lot, but I've never paid for Denali data. Yeah. When you see what it is, you'll be like, oh, of course. It'll almost be like, oh, I should have been able to predict that, and I didn't. You know what you know what that's like. September is the worst month, I think. Maybe we'll see increased volatility. Historically speaking, September and October's are the worst. Now, some of those, the way that those statistics kind of come back, I think it's a little bit questionable. So I'd be super careful about like relying on that too much as the basis of a trade. But I think that you're on the right track, though, man. If a lot of people believe that the market is really the economy rather is really in a recession, right? A lot of people think that the economy is in a recession right now, and that it's going to get significantly worse. That stagflation is here for a while is another theory that we're kind of is going around, and one that I'm kind of suspect could be true. So, but the markets have been doing pretty good in the month of August, right? So if the bears are to come back in, September is probably their best chance. So I think you're probably right. I think that you probably will see some selling in September, and we probably will see some increased volatility in September. I don't know if how it's going to ultimately come out. If that's going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, we really are in a recession and the market keeps going down and next stop 50%, you know, or if that kind of fizzles out and everybody says, oh no, okay, actually the economy is okay. Inflation a little bit higher than we want it. Interest rates are going to have to continue to rise, but maybe stocks are okay. I don't know that one. I think that anybody that tells you that they think that they know is overly confident about their ability to predict the markets, because the indicators that we're getting, the models that we're getting, just seem to be much less reliable as of late. 20 million people. I saw that story and I was like, how can that be possible? My wife was saying that our power bill was a lot higher this month though. And she also said that it was like more than like we used more energy than last year. And she's like, is it because of your air conditioner or your swamp cooler in the garage? Well, I only run that for like 1 hour a day, and it's just a fan and a pump. I don't think that it uses that much energy. Air conditioning uses energy. It's okay until oil and gas prices. Well, have you seen these charts of electricity prices in Europe? I mean, electricity, it's bad when it's in the summer, but where this is going to become a real problem is the winter, right? So if September comes along and the markets really take a hit and there's volatility, you're gonna get something like what you had in 2008 if it really turns out to the downside, right? Is like, actually, here, I don't need to bring that one down. Let's put let's switch back over here and draw on a chart. Try and predict it, okay? Try and draw out the scenario. So we'll put a daily ES chart out, and we'll move it way over to here. Okay, so where's my thing? I told you before, 40% top credit are behind on their car payments as well. Yeah, I saw that too. Zero Hedge keeps posting those stories. Okay, so could be, I think maybe we see a little bit. Okay, but then probably in September we have another decline. Okay, so then at that point you kind of sit down and you say, okay, it's either that everything's fine and we just go up. How about I draw these in different colors? A blue one. This is the scenario where we go back up and maybe even to here. Okay. And in this scenario, I think that we could be, you know, in this area for a long time. Okay. The other scenario, the down scenario though, is like we go lower and it just keeps, right? So if we get this thing where in September it's just a real disaster, I guess I'm not really doing it very time wise well, right? October would be to like here, right? Then I think that November through December could be really ugly, yeah. Because then all of the energy's concerns are going to come through the market, and that's just going to make things so much worse if that's really the state of things. Yeah. But again, I don't think that I have very good metrics. You know, like to come in and say, you know, what was it? 20% of Americans are behind on their power bill. I have a really hard time believing that. How could that be a thing and I'm not hearing about it anywhere other than Zero Hedge? Right? Why aren't people on social media and so forth talking about that? That they're behind and why? That doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to me. Well, for now, S&P 500 is looking pretty good for the open, huh? Well, first 30 minutes, let's say. It's just been a good, smooth, consistent trend up. Treasuries haven't been moving much at all. That's probably helping. It was on Bloomberg. Yeah. Well, I remember seeing the story on Zero Hedge, right? And they were referencing Bloomberg. You know what's a funny thing? I have the Bloomberg digital subscription, and where I find that most useful is that it sends lots of alerts to my phone. So I'll see all of the news headlines, but I usually don't go and read it. And it's very rare that I find a story on Bloomberg that really tells me something that like is an actionable trade or whatever. Whereas I get that like almost every week from Zero Hedge. I feel like that the Bloomberg digital subscription was a waste. Like the Bloomberg digital subscription is not geared towards somebody that is trading and wants to know as much as possible about the state of markets. The Bloomberg digital subscription is geared towards somebody that just enjoys reading the news and wants it to be financially flavored. Right? It's like it's entertainment focused, and so it doesn't really end up being as useful as I thought it would be. I'd like to try a year on the Wall Street Journal now and see if that's different. But I also kind of think that what I should be doing is I should be doing the $100 a month Zero Hedge subscription where you get the document drops. Still, if it's 20% of people, why am I not seeing all these TikTokers complaining about how they can't pay their energy bill? Right? That's what confuses me, is I'm not hearing about it from everyday people. And if it's one in 5 people, there's no way that can be accurate. Unless people are just really embarrassed and quiet about it. I don't know. I really don't think it makes sense. Let's see here. Jim Iorio was doing a bunch of stuff on the Twitters. We have been getting speakers here, but I haven't heard anything on the news squawk about something that somebody said at Jackson Hole that was significant, so it is a little quiet today. But I guess, yeah, with Jackson Hole starting, that's probably what we should expect, huh? By the way, next week is still August, right? Yes. Okay, so our micros will switch over on Wednesday, Thursday. So it's Fed's Harker right now saying we need to get into a restrictive stance. Yeah, see, he's Fed's Harker is saying things that right now that like in weeks past would have been really big market movers, but at this point I kind of feel like the Fed has said it so much that they don't really care. I think that if I was going to be, if I was going to try and place a speculation on what, a move being triggered by something that somebody at Jackson Hole said, it's more likely to be to the downside. But because of that, what something that might happen is a speaker will say something even slightly dovish and everybody will interpret it as a really big deal, right? That's happened a couple of times here. Anyways, great day, guys. Don't forget to make more money before it's too late. Hey, NASDAQ killer, have an excellent day. Yeah? Harker says, I'd like to see us get beyond 3.4% and then possibly rest for a time. However, if evidence continues to show that we need to raise more funds, we should do so. Well, the 2-year is at 3.37, so I think you're good, Harker. Well, of course, he's talking about the federal funds rate, but that's where the market thinks you're going to go. I thought I told teams to not do that, but it still pops up down there. But Fed's Harker also saying he hasn't decided on whether the next rate increase should be 50 or 75. Fed's Harker says it doesn't feel like a recession. Why are you so political? Well, I mean, if I'm honest, I really enjoy politics. But like I said, understanding the political landscape can be an edge in the stock market or in the treasury market. I guess it's probably a bigger deal in the treasury market these days than the stocks, but and the more that we talk about it, the more that we understand the context around the politics, the better able we'll be to make quick decisions about, when it actually affects the markets. I wonder, did you expect me to come and talk about, chart patterns and stuff? It's an edge, but you barely trade. Well, okay, so that's this. You're bringing up another thing that I would love to talk about first and last, which is this. Okay, informed traders always have the advantage. And if you don't have a piece of information that is highly likely to lead to future orders, and you know that information before the rest of the market, or you're able to execute it on it better or whatever the deal is, right? If you don't have that edge, there is no reason to trade. There's absolutely no reason to trade. So here, when you look at our situation today, we did have some economic news, but the market kind of decided it wasn't a very big deal, and I think that's probably appropriate. The jobless claims was less than expected, but not really a game changer. Here we are. This is one of the lowest activity weeks of the year. A lot of people are on vacation. Kids are just going back to school, so markets are very, very light at the end of August. The things don't really pick up until after the first the first non-farms jobs report in September, right? After the summer. First non-farms after the summer, so the non-farms in September. Then the market changes considerably. So you're already in a situation where markets are kind of slow and there's not very many trades anyways because it's the summer. And then you've kind of got, it's even worse because the markets are kind of on hold waiting to see how this Jackson Hole stuff sorts out. Now, if we hear something coming from the guys in Jackson Hole that is really significant, I don't know if you're going to get that, but I think we do have to be ready to be able to take a trade, right? But the reality is that the less trades you take, is usually the better you do, actually. And yeah, it means there's going to be situations, even entire days, even entire weeks, where you don't take any trades. That's kind of part of how, one of the things that I think is really great about this stream is that you have somebody to talk to and to keep yourself entertained when it's not a good time to trade. I mean, look, you could have bought this here in the treasury. I'm not exactly sure what the driver is long here. I didn't have any piece of information that told me that it was going to turn up like that. Yeah. Political information doesn't matter that much outside of market moving events. Well, yeah, except for that those market moving events are like the biggest events and pretty much wash out almost everything else. Right? So it's the fat tail. It's like one good trade off of politics could be worth 100 small trades. 10 for me. It's more like 10 small trades. So. ZB's leading on that move. I did see it's gentle. Little bit of flattening on that one. But I'm not. So I think that the market is reacting to something that Fed's Harker said there, but I did not sure what it was that makes that dovish. Like he was talking hawkish, he was talking, yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be 50 or 75, but we need to get restrictive and stuff. I'm not sure how all of that ended up creating a really strong bond rally. How do you size down for volatile events from a one lot? Oh, that's actually a really good question. So for one thing, if it really gets volatile, I just don't want to touch it, right? I want some volatility, but too much, and it's kind of like it's. I really like to be able to find a spot where I can feel really confident about my adverse excursion, right? Like I would much rather take a trade where I don't get more than 5 ticks adverse excursion, but then it runs for me and I get like 50 ticks or whatever, right? I think that's a much better kind of a setup. When you get into the volatility, it's like, yeah, you could make 50 to 100 ticks, but you could also lose 50 to 100 ticks just because of the illiquidity. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I've kind of been avoiding things, is just because I could see from the liquidity that it wasn't very good. Now, the liquidity at the moment doesn't look too bad. So I think I could have justified a trade if what Harker had said really suggested to me that the bonds should be making a move. But I think that what you got going on right now is probably some sort of overreaction. But I'm not I just keep reading through his comments. They all seem bearish. I don't know. Hawk. Volatile, but not too volatile? Well, listen, you don't want to be a noise trader, man. If the trade that you're taking is just a coin flip, like... Noise traders tend to lose money in the long run, guys. Puts Delta got jammed. Yeah, let me see here. Oh yeah. See that there was definitely like a big reversal there based off of something that Fed's Harker said. I see there to be no risk of a sustained recession, is what he's saying right now. Long-term neutral rate is approximately 2.5%. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe that's what it was. If the long-term neutral rate is 2.5% and we think that inflation is transitory, then we should expect to see interest rates reach 3.5% here in the short term. But in the longer run, and for like the 10 years, you know, we're more likely to come back down to 2.5, and that might be able to justify a bunch of buying, right? I don't make any claims, but you can go on the channel, and there's about 5 years of live streams that you can go back and watch. So I don't know what else to tell you. The bigger thing is, I think you missed the thing that I was saying earlier, which was I don't want you to come in and say, okay, Seth is a really good and successful trader, I want to watch what he does and copy him. Don't do that. Go and watch the VODs and learn about the empirically proven information about the market. It doesn't mean you know how to trade, it means you know how to stream. Well, sure. Like I said, past performance is not indicative of future results, right? Maybe I'm trying to think of like, how can I see this more explicitly? Cause like it needs to be like you either understand and you go, oh yeah, or it needs to be like, well, I don't believe that, and you leave. What you're trying to do will lead in failure. Trying to follow somebody else's trading will always result in failure. Like, that's the way that the market works. There's only so much edge in any one inefficiency, and if too many people try trading that thing, you actually create an inefficiency the other way, right? So I don't want people to follow me. I don't want to be, I'm not trying to teach some system. What do I teach you? I teach you proven stuff about the markets. I have a way that I go about trading it. I don't really talk about it too much because I don't want you to copy it. But what I do is I give you the raw information that I use to come up with that stuff, so that you can figure out your own things. How do you know? Well, if you weren't looking to follow, why would it matter how good I was at trading? I tell you, man, the person, the streamer that's concerned about proving to you how good they are of a trader, is the last person that you want to be listening to. The people that know what's going on are usually pretty sly about it. Oh, no. The stuff that I have in my videos, okay, like the inelastic markets hypothesis and stylized behavior of markets, that is not opinion. I mean, I suppose that when I'm relating information to you, that there's the possibility of opinion getting mixed in there and stuff like that, but that's why I cite to you the sources that I got the information from and stuff, so that you can go and you can read about it yourself. What I add to it is that I'm able to explain to you why it's relevant to you as a retail trader, right? But that stuff is empirically proven. Like, there are studies, in some cases decades worth of studies, consistently proving that these behaviors are a thing. You know, these are like peer-reviewed studies published in established in prestigious journals. It's not opinions. What you said, what advice do you have to counter with how do you trade? I was curious. Well, I mean, it's an interesting thing to me because I think that if I came in here every day and I said, "Oh, I just made $2,000 and you can too, and here's how you're gonna do it," and that was my whole stream, and every thumbnail had a big number on it to show you how much you could have made if you had been watching here and trading with us, channel would probably be a lot more successful. And if I come in here and I tell you, well, the way that the markets work, trying to follow somebody else is never going to work. And you're going to have to come up with your own strategies, and you should learn as much as you can about the market that you can prove. Don't just take people's words for it. Don't just look for somebody that seems to have the experience or seems to have been successful in the past. Look for empirical evidence, because that's the only thing that you can really truly trust. That doesn't really attract people. And so when I'm sitting here and I'm talking to somebody that's skeptical about it, you know, it's kind of like, what are the arguments how do they react to certain arguments? But you can see here in the end, unless last sees me make like $1,000 or something, he's probably going to be like, meh, I don't know if I really care to watch this guy. And like, there's the thing. I don't know if I'm going to, well, we got about 40 minutes left and the market is moving around and the Fed speakers are still talking. So if I hear the right thing on the news squawk, I could be in on something just like that. But this move up that we're getting here and everything, I'm not too interested in that one. I'd be much more interested in if the market was starting to react to the downside about something that he said, just because I know that the longer term thing is that the Federal Reserve is going to continue to raise rates until it's restrictive. And it seems that it's more than what the market is expecting right now with the current market pricing, right? So I can still be stalking a trade, right? But with it as close as we are to the end, I think that today may end up being a no trade day. So we can talk if we want to, right? See, but that this comes back again. The argument that I'm trying to make to you first, last, is that what people tell you is, yes, you can be a day trader and you can come in and you can make like 20 trades a day and consistently make money. Well, there might have been a time when you could have done that, but it's not really realistic for retail traders to be doing these days. You'll probably do better if there are days and weeks where you just don't trade at all because you don't have an edge in those periods. Empirical evidence may suggest that you don't know how to trade, and knowing markets and trading them are two different things. Okay, so what kind of empirical evidence would you like to see exactly? Like, look, if you're not interested in the stylized behaviors of markets, I don't have to convince you. I'm only interested in trying to convince you in as much as I can try to refine my messaging, right? But if it's just not something that you want to go in and do, is go and watch something and examine empirical evidence for whether or not I can find an edge in that. You know, that's the way that we roll here. And if that stuff doesn't interest you, then you're probably just not going to be interested in the channel. Well, we do need to move into making VODs more about current issues a little bit, but coming through here. Where do we want to go to? Oh, we are going to get some EIA natural gas change here soon. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Where are we? We're in almost to September. That's not right. I wanted to come in here so I could show you some of my stats as of late, but it's only, for some reason, it's only showing me like my most recent account. So it's only showing you like my last 7 trades, which was amazing. Look at this. I'm really proud of this one right here. Okay. MFE 35, MAE. That's average ticks against you. 14. Well, 14 is actually a little bit more than I'd like it to have. I like that to be below 10, but 3 to 1, 2 to 1. Pretty good. Pretty good. Not as high of a win percentage as I would like, though. Not as high of a win percentage as I would like. But that's not all of the trading. Why does it not show me further back? Oh, because they're different from I switched to data feeds and they're different things. So it was a lot more varied. Yeah, here we are. Here we are. Here's a little bit further back. I think that really when I really should have done better. This period here in February was really this one right here. I gotta tell you, the fat-tailed markets. That day right there was when I made a boo-boo. That one shouldn't have happened. I think that one was the spread trade, but I mean, I did make a boo-boo once. But I'm getting better. Like, look, for me to go, what is it? It's 5 months now without a huge mistake. It's pretty good. Getting better. I wouldn't say that it's perfect. I think that we still got a little bit of work to go here. But I'm going to show my stats. So what is the win rate? Yeah, see, 35% win rate is not very good. Because what it's saying to me right now is that those big trades that I caught are the majority of my profits, right? That's pretty good. I tell you what, though. That's probably better than what you're going to see from most people. Pretty good. There are some things about that that's really impressive. I think, though, we keep working out, we kind of reduce some of those mistakes. Oh, I should have bought. Well, it's too late to close it down. I could have told you the day that we could have gone in and made the big trade. But like, here's the funny thing, right? Is that if he goes back into our streams and he goes and finds the stream where we made like $200 last week or whatever, it's going to be like the most boring thing to him, because it's going to be like, oh, I came in and I'm like, okay, here's the thing that I think is going to move the markets in today. And then I took the trade and then I just chatted with you guys like I did any other day. It wasn't any different, right? That was a decent pullback. So what I'm seeing in the market here again is we're pretty wide ranges. There's a few spots. So there's like a 1400 right there. Oh, where's the wrong color? I'll draw on the DOM here for you. So there's like a 1300 traded here, a 1400 traded here. So I'm not going to say that it's like moving on no volume, but there's also these periods where it's like only 894 to trade through 11.5. And look at how little is trading on the other side, you know? So it's like you're getting very directional flow all in one direction, really moving the markets without a whole lot of effort. So that makes it kind of a little difficult for you to trade, because, you know, if I took let's just say for the sake of argument that I bought 08.5. Here comes the natural gas stocks changed right here, by the way. But let's just say that I bought in right there. Well, with the way that the volatility is, if I were to make a decision just based on volatility, I could see it coming back to there, but I could also see it coming all the way back down to here. So that makes it really difficult to find a really good spot, right? Were you trying something new when I was, Seacow? So I can't remember which one it was. So here's something that I have found is really difficult to deal with in trading, like a mental aspect, okay? Is that your brain wants to forget the losses. So I remember there was one where I took a steepener and it didn't work out. And that was me not understanding the spreads well enough and the fundamentals about spreads, and it was just a bad trade, and I took like way too big of a loss on it, right? I think there was another day, I don't remember what the deal was. It was like well, there was one day where I took a loss on like one of the more illiquid instruments. There was another one of those, but the one that happened before the summer, I'm not sure what that was. I can't remember. There's been mistakes, and yes, what all those mistakes have been me trying something that I really shouldn't have been doing. Me not really sticking to the thing that I know. Not sure of the bar chart. No, that wasn't a bar chart. That was the account performance. Was actually, I switched brokers, so if I only showed you this broker's results, this has only been good. This is actually really, really good. It's the funny thing is, you got to realize that like $100 is like 10% of the account, right? And that's only on trading individual lots. I could have used 10 times as much leverage, right? So I could have tripled the size of the account if I was going in with this leverage as much as I could, but I really wouldn't recommend doing that. But that's what a lot of other people do. So if you wanted to compare, like, you know, that's what you'd have to do. But yeah, there were drawdowns. But you could see it on there. Like, I had the drawdowns and I dug back out of it. So we've been really good over the August, and a lot of that has been because I've just, you know, I changed things a little bit. Like it was like about halfway through 2020 when I really felt like I started to understand this stuff, and I started to say, oh yeah, this thing, I need to drop this thing, I need to drop this thing. And then there was, you know, a time period where it was kind of trying to zero in on that. But then when we got the micros in September of 2021, so it's been about a year. It's really been about the last year when I've really been able to hone in and focus on the current strategy, right? And I feel like we've only gotten good at it in the last 6 months. And I think that there's still a couple of issues, right? So like, oh, you give me a thumbs up? Thank you. I appreciate it. I really, when you guys click the thumbs up button, especially early on in the stream, it does really help the channel out. Yeah, but what helps, if you guys want to help the channel out, the thing that helps the most is commenting. Even if it's a really mean comment and you like argue with people, that really helps the channel out. So I appreciate it, guys. You tried number bars or order flow try? It's but anyways, so I don't want to come in and be like, my trading has been perfect. It hasn't, right? I've made at least 2 or 3 mistakes in the last year that I can think of that really hurt. So my focus right now is a lot more on avoiding those mistakes. But one of the ways that I've done that is I'm way more careful about when I actually wanted to make a trade. Like, it really takes something to get me into something. Okie dokie. My wife is taking the kids to school. You want more people to watch this? Oh, I appreciate it. I don't know if that he's saying I want more people to watch this for bad reasons, but hopefully he's saying, oh, actually that was good. Maybe that helped. I have to here's the thing that well part of why I'm like this. Okay. Number one is because I want you guys to look for empirical evidence. Okay. Following somebody because of their past success is a logical fallacy. That's what most traders do, but it's there's a fallacy in that approach. You don't want to make that mistake. So that's the first thing, is I'm trying to help you avoid a mistake. The second thing is that past performance is not indicative of future results. So I've been doing pretty good this past year. For all we know, tomorrow I'm gonna blow my account. I mean, things like that have happened before. You can go back, if you go back far enough, you can see me lose like $500 in a day. Right? Yeah. Oh, you have Sierra charts? Cool. Yeah, I got Bookmap is interesting. You know what though? Like I have really mixed feelings on like the Vista charts. I don't really pay attention to them. I've had them up. I can see where theoretically, but like the thing is there's just nothing that I can see on them that I can't see over here, and I can see so much over here on the DOM. So somebody came in the other way. Yeah. You know, D1, it's really interesting to see those charts. What D1 is saying to us is he has some information on options positioning, and he's looking at that in an index, on a stock index, the futures on that. And he can see some points where there are big changes in puts and calls. And those do line up really well with pivots. So it kind of tells you certain pivots that you should or should not trade. It does look like there is some use to that data. Can't justify the cost of Bookmap. Yeah, it is more expensive. Well, so I use Jigsaw Day Trader, and that's $50 a month. I mean, that's a lot. But I think for Bookmap, you're talking like 100 plus. If you want the market by order data, you're talking like 200 in fees in the long run, right? Yeah, but I'm just not. I think that those charts look cool for sure. They look cool, but I don't think that they actually give you that much edge beyond what you do with the DOM. I think that the DOM has more edge in it. The things that you can see in the DOM that you can't see on Bookmap matter a lot more. Not that Bookmap's DOM is awful, it's just not as good as Jigsaw's. You can program. Why not create some chatbots to boost your YouTube points or whatever? It can't be that hard. No. Because remember, okay, yeah, I think I'm getting pretty okay at these micro treasury futures. I don't think that I'm amazing. I think that it'll still be a struggle here to see if I can continue this run that I've had into the end of the year. But the thing that I really hope people come out with, you know, is the values, right? Excellence, integrity, teamwork. I need to do those in the same order every time, but I'm not sure what order I want them to do. I want to do them in integrity, excellence, teamwork. Is that their importance? I think that those are the level of importance is integrity, excellence, and teamwork, right? So coming in and using chatbots to boost my stream, that wouldn't be integrity. For me to go and do that would completely undermine everything else that we're doing on the channel, right? What's the commission on micro bonds? So you know, it varies from broker to broker, and like the thing is that you're talking about cents over there, but the exchange fee on it is quite high, relatively speaking. So you're giving up about 1 tick or $1 per trade. So yeah, commissions end up adding up to a lot of it. But if your strategy is actually working, oh gosh, there's a baby crying. Hold on a second. Yeah, commissions are higher on micros. It kind of sucks. So really, the thing is the data fees kill you, right? Just trade regular ZB? I mean, I could do that. I've found that I just trade way better by keeping my leverage really small. So I don't know. To me, that how much I'm making in the end isn't really important to me. I mean, I have a day job that I do great at, so. Oh, baby, it's not so bad. Oh, well, there's Mom. I think she was fast, so. You've been doing well with UB? I think part of it is that ZB just traumatized me. Like, I started out on ZB when I first started trading. If you go back to like the first streams, I was trading ZB back then. And first of all, I found that my read on the order flow was just a lot better when I was watching the 10-year. But I think it messed with my head a lot too. It was just, the reality was I was just way over leveraged. Do you find Future Trader 71 trade bites useful? I don't watch them, to be honest. I mean, I used to. I totally know the whole thing. For one thing, he's more interested on equity indexes, which I tried for a long time. When the MES came out, I started trading MES for a while. I had some periods where I did really well with it. I had some periods where I did really terrible. I had periods where we thought we had found some stuff, but I think the reality is that there's just a little bit too much noise in the S&P 500 for me, and that a lot of what you're doing is just a kind of a crapshoot. I think with the FT71, I think that people, I mean, he kind of is telling people this, but I don't think it doesn't really like stick in people's head that like, oh, that's like a really big key, is that he's basically playing with risk, right? His max loss is larger than like what his average winner is, right? It's just that you only have that maximum amount of like 4 contracts on for a very brief time, and then you take some profit very quickly, and so you're kind of messing with the risk on a time scale, and so that's kind of how it works. But there's still a fat tail to it. You still kind of will tend to end up with a situation where you know, you'll have a week that's just really, really bad, right? That's what I've found with the most traders that try doing that sort of thing. And more to the point, I've not been able to find any empirical evidence. So I went back and back tested a lot of these setups that they talk about, where it's like, you know, based on where we are compared to the previous day's value area, are we more or less likely to move to the previous day's point of control and that sort of stuff. And I back tested a lot of that stuff like straight up, and didn't find any edge in them. What I was seeing still looked like largely just noise. So now FT also talks about like the news and what's going on, so I do think that sort of stuff could be beneficial, but I personally don't find it useful anymore. Future Trader 71 was really good at the beginning. I learned a lot from him for sure. He's been around forever, right? ZN seems you have too much congestion for now. Well, I don't know. I mean, they've spent a lot of time at 07, right? They spent a lot of time at 07 yesterday as well. But I mean, there was a range there, because you could have taken it from 08 all the way up to 14, and then there was an opportunity for it to back. I mean, I don't know what was the driver behind those trades. There was nothing that I saw that told me that there was a high probability of those orders coming, but the movement is there for you to make money, isn't there? I do kind of wonder if that return back though was maybe largely profit taking. I don't know. News question mark? Sorry, I'm not sure I understand what you're asking. Oh, it's easier in UB and ZB tills. Yeah, well, so first of all, if you're trying to do any kind of like technical noise trading strategy, then yeah, you probably are way better in ZB and UB. Yeah, because there's just a lot more fidgetiness in there. Every time that I've done a back test that was, well, I guess all back tests are technically based on technicals, but when I mean technicals without order flow, let's say, every time that I've done a back test that was just based on traditional technicals, it always worked better on ZBs than CN. I don't know why that is. Create a chatbot. We do have so I don't really use it anymore, but we did have a robot that would read out the user messages to us, and you could give it accents. I think last time I tried starting it up, there was a problem. I need to adjust it, and I forgot to look at it. So it's probably a quick fix, but I just stopped using it because I have like the chat built into OBS now, and that's kind of when I stopped using it. That's kind of when I forgot about it. That's when I, it was like, oh, I forgot to turn it on, and I realized that we weren't really using it or getting a whole lot of it anymore anyways. So I think that was because there used to be times where I was really like, people would be saying tons of stuff and I wouldn't be able to read it. And so having it read it out to me so that I could keep my eyes on the DOM over here was really useful. But that's not so much of a problem anymore because I know the points when I want to be watching. Right. I tell you, we've done like there's been times where somebody has come in and like mass downvoted a stream or given a video or a stream an obscene amount of views, but that doesn't really help the channel, to be honest. Like the streaming is an interesting thing because with the way that the discovery works and the YouTube works and everything, it's, you know, it's very difficult to move the needle on YouTube. If I had done something on Twitter and had all of a sudden had a large following on Twitter, that would probably help the stream, right? Anyways, do you know if any female streamers? No, actually, I can't think of any. Kind of an interesting thing, women in trading is actually a really fascinating topic because there's been a lot of studies that suggest, especially for asset managers, they've done some studies for asset managers that suggest that women can make better asset managers. I think that the things I remember seeing was that it was best when you had men and women working together. But the gist of it is that women have a different approach to risk and are much less likely to take excessive risks. And, you know, that's why they do well, which kind of suggests that there's the main thing that women benefit from in trading is something that anybody can take advantage of if they're conscious about it, right? Be careful about your risk. Like I said, the more that you trade, probably the more you're going to lose. Don't take a trade unless you really have something. And that seems to be the advantage that women have. But from the perspective of like being a speculator, women don't like to take that risk. There are times when they should be putting the risk on and they don't. And so the top performers still tend to be men because those top performers are the people that probably did something they shouldn't have been doing, right? So that's the advantage that women have, and that's also the thing that holds them back. But since we know what those things are so well, you know, anybody can look at those things and think about how that might apply to them in their strategy. I've had a couple of women that come in on the stream that are really, I remember there was this one lady that was trading ZB kind of like what Octavius was saying. And she was doing really well on it. I don't know what ended up happening. I mean, maybe she like had a bad week or something and she stopped trading. She was older, so I don't know, maybe she's just not here with us anymore. But she did show me some results that she was getting up from UB, and it was really impressive. So she was making a couple $100 every day from it with one lot. But like I said, you know, maybe I should allocate more money to the trading, but I don't want to lose $10,000. If I put $10,000 into it and I blew it, that would be pretty nasty. That'd be pretty difficult for me to want to keep going off of something like that. So I found that it's better for me to keep the risk low. And in reality, I think it's better for my audience too, to teach people that you don't have to swing it big. And that your desire to try and swing it big may actually be hurting you. Right? Like ARK? Well, Kathy Woods is crazy. Okay. She doesn't actually know what she's doing. The whole strategy that fund is based on is a bad idea, in my opinion. Maybe it would be fine if it was this teeny little fund that nobody knew about, but as soon as it became a popular thing and you didn't cap the fund, nah. And she doesn't seem to understand the impact of their orders. So any of the success that she's had, she thinks that is because she's so smart, and really it was just because of the amount of money that they were moving in the market. Yeah, you're right, Siku. You're totally right. I have a good job and I don't have to make money from the market, from trading. In all honesty with you, I'm way more interested in making money in the market for the reason that I could benefit the stream, and because I would love to be able to spend more time making content. I'm not able to make as much content as I would like. I was finding it really frustrating yesterday. Like, I think part of it might be why I'm feeling like this is because I've just been really productive the last 2 weeks. I've been holding myself to very strict scheduling. I'm figuring out that, so I always knew that having a physical record of something helped me because it needs to be somewhere where like I can see it. But when I started really putting note cards and really tracking really aggressively what I needed to be doing during the day on that, was when I really started becoming more productive, and I've been getting a lot of stuff done. So then when the evening comes and I have maybe 30 minutes to watch TikTok, I'm finding what TikTok is sending to me a little frustrating. Like, it's not interesting to me anymore. It's boring. It's like, oh, this stuff is so vapid. I wish I had the energy to read a book, is kind of where I get on that. And oh yeah, I didn't make a TikTok yesterday, right? Because making TikToks is just not as interesting to me anymore. I feel like that I unless I make a really great TikTok that like really catches people's attention and stuff, not that many people, and it doesn't really build you can't build an audience. It's way too transitory in the world of TikTok, so I didn't make them, but at the same time, there's so much content that I could be making. We could be doing more serious analysis about what the impact of the college debt forgiveness is going to do, for instance, right? That would make a good video. What did the Federal Reserve say at Jackson Hole? I mean, I think that I could do multiple videos every week if I was doing it full time, and especially if I had people helping me and like helping me do research and stuff, and if we, well, I haven't made enough from the trading to really move the needle there, but if we start sizing up and we do start bringing in money from that, maybe we'll be able to do some of those things, although it's more likely to come from YouTube itself. And I just kind of have to hope that eventually we're going to do something that the algorithm really likes and picks up on, and it starts sending thousands of people to our stream or whatever, and then we could be able to justify spending all of our time on it. Not that I don't like my job, I really do love my job. It's just that I want to do everything I can to help you guys, and I think that the best thing that I could do is make more content. Maybe this next one could be it. I don't know. I think I got something pretty big deal coming up. Whether every time that I think I have something really big and I'm like, oh, this is going to be big deal, and I really hope that this is going to, bring people into the channel and stuff, it doesn't go as well as I think. Some of the videos that I'm the most excited about just kind of fall flat. But this next one has some potential. Anyways, yep, I have a good job, and I don't have to make money from trading. But like, that's the other side of that, though, guys, is that if you're not making as much as you want, and you really want to find other sources of income, trading is probably not the place to be looking for it. Okay, the risk, the reward that you get for the amount of effort that you put into trading is not very good. I would only recommend getting into trading if you have a real sincere interest in it. That is, like, you like talking about markets, you like talking about the economy, you like talking about politics, frankly, and you like to read the news, and you like the math. The math is a significant part of it too. I think that a lot of people come in and, they don't really like markets, they just want to make money. And so that's why they focus on charts, because they're like, well, I don't have to know anything about the market, and I can just focus on the chart, right? If you're not going to come in, like, I got this book right here, Money Market and Bond Calculations, Stigum and Robinson. I don't know if there's anything in that book that I'm going to be able to directly apply to my trading, right? So for me, that is going to be like personal reading, right? If that's not you, then trading's probably not for you, right? You need a passion for it, not just a get rich quick scheme. Yeah, exactly. But it goes back to the values again. Like, what are our values? Integrity, excellence, and teamwork. And get rich quick is not any of those things, right? Get rich quick is not integrity, because get rich quick is, just do whatever it is whatever you got to do to get the money, you go and you get it. Get rich quick is not excellence. It's not come in and study and work really hard and get good at something. It's put in the minimum amount of effort possible for me to get rich, right? It's not teamwork. It's selfish, right? So yeah, I'm 100% opposed to get rich quick. But the whole thing is that if you have the passion for it and you put the work in, there is the potential for you to make be really successful at it. But I can't guarantee that. Most, 99% of people, that doesn't happen. Might be better if I had a co-host. Yeah, you're probably right about that one. I would have been okay with having Ace back when he was still around getting on, but Ace believes in the technical analysis, and when I really started to go, like, really started to understand the research, and was, because I was always like, hey, news matters. Like, I was mostly trying to use my programming to find edges that way, and I think maybe I found some things, and it was always like, well, but the news, it needs to be a component of your trading too, right? But once I realized that, well, the market is statistically efficient, so it's almost like not even worth trying to find the edges in those things. You're going to get way more value out of just researching the market as hard as you can and spending all of your time on understanding the fundamental, the informational side of it instead. And once I went in that direction, that's when I really started to see big changes and improvements in my trading, and Ace wasn't really necessarily on board with that, so it didn't really work out. Yeah, maybe Stream, you're teaching your wife. I don't know if she... Here's the thing. I think that she has some... Oh, I gotta get going. I think that in some respects, she probably could be a good trader, but market doesn't interest her at all, so that probably wouldn't work. Well, that's okay. I chat with you guys, and I think that you guys are great to chat with. So I'm happy with that. But I got to get going. I'm a little bit behind. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Stay excellent. Right? Stay profitable, and don't blow it all. All right? At the very least, don't blow it all, okay? Tomorrow is going to be a big day when Powell's speaking, so get a good night's rest tonight, okay?